I have some brief questions of Border Force. How many parcels come through Australian Border Force each financial year?
So, Senator, just give me 1 second. I'll just get to the... I might just ask Deputy Commissioner Saunders to join me at the front table as well. In terms of parcels, it's probably... I might describe it slightly differently if I could. So, air cargo consignments, if I could start there, because, Senator, goods coming into Australia, primarily from a border screening point of view, is either sea cargo, stuff that comes in containers, air cargo, stuff that comes in crates in the belly of aeroplanes, and international mail. So in terms of air cargo consignments, between the 1st of July 2020 and the 31st of March 2021, there were 54,340,909 consignments. In relation to sea cargo, there's been a significant uptick. So I'll give you the numbers for 1920 first of all. So between the 1st of July 2019, 31st of March 2020, there were 2,472,286 consignments. Between the 1st of July 2020, 31st of March 2021, 7,449,539 consignments. The reason for that is because of COVID-19. Because of changes in logistics, supply chains, etc. A lot of people shopping from home, smaller consignments, and the freight forwarders need to get it here somehow. And there just isn't the number of airplanes coming to Australia to support all of that coming through air cargo. So a lot of the smaller consignments are now coming in containers, and that's led to a significant increase. In terms of international mail, that data is actually commercially confidential because obviously Australia Post are in competition with freight forwarders and other sort of international logistics supply chain sort of companies, and we don't put those numbers out there, Senator, in terms of Australian international mail.
Okay, but the total number of consignments for the 9 months, July 20 to March 21, was 54 million, including air, mail and sea. Well,
not including mail, so I haven't given you that number because that's commercially sensitive. Because Australia Post are sort of they're a single commercial entity and they're in competition with other people in the market. We don't put that number out there. So what I've given you is in terms of air cargo. So consignments 54,340,909. That's for air cargo.
Okay, thank you.
And for sea cargo, an additional almost 7.5 million, 7.449 million.
Okay, thank you very much for that. How many of these parcels are checked for value and whether or not GST is applied?
I might just call
Commissioner,
forward...
just on that number, the sea cargo, is that... how are you quantifying that number? Is that...
Consignment. So a consignment is obviously...
Do you define that as per container or how...?
No, a consignment is if you import a good into Australia, that's a consignment. So that could be an entire container load that you have, or if you've got lots of lines of goods in a container. So let's say a freight forwarding company wants to get a lot of consignments to Australia. Previously, they might put them in a crate in the belly of an aeroplane, whereas now they're putting them in containers. So we're getting containers with lots and lots of consignments in them.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Thanks
so it's an individual entry for an importer of a good, and that can be a private person or a commercial entity.
Thank you. Thanks, Senator Roberts.
I might just ask, I've got Vanessa Holborn here in terms of the GST question, if I could. It goes to matters of customs policy.
Vanessa Holborn, Group Manager, Customs Group, Australian Border Force. So your question is in relation to GST?
Yeah, how many of the parcels that come in, the consignments, are checked for value and have GST applied?
So I need to take on notice the number of consignments that are checked. What I can give you, though, is the dollar value of the undetected, understated GST detected.
The
understated GST detected, so that's where they haven't obviously claimed GST. So the dollar value, would you like it in the financial years?
Yes, please.
So 2019 at 20, 25,827,753. I can go previous years
that's
if you'd
fine.
like to as well. Year to date, so 31st of March 2021, 411,719.
So that's the, could you say that again, what that is? That 25 million
So we
for 19?
determine it as understated GST detected.
Understated GST
Correct.
detected. So what does that mean? Understated. So that means only the parcels that have been, where the GST has been understated and where it's detected.
Correct.
So what proportion of parcels are waved through without checking to see if GST should be paid?
That's what I need to check on notice for you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any estimation of how much GST has not been paid per year? It's a massive task, as Mr. Outram just told us.
Again, I'll need to take that on notice.
Thank you. How many notices are sent out to call in GST prior to the parcel being released?
I need to take that on notice, Senator.
Okay. What is the estimated loss to Australia per year for the lost or foregone GST?
I need to take that on notice.
And Senator, we will take that on notice, but also we do obviously with GST recognise other departments have a stake in the GST question, the ATO and Treasury, so we'll take it on notice, but we'll also link in with our other departments who have an interest in the GST
Thank you.
policy.
What has been done to assess the cost of this forfeit and to implement a remedy? We've got to define the problem before we can solve it. With 54 million consignments, 61 million consignments, it's a pretty massive opportunity.
Could you repeat the question again, Senator?
What's been done to assess the loss of revenue, the foregone revenue, and to implement a remedy?
We could talk about our audit, I think, our audit inspection control program.
So the compliance, we have a compliance program, obviously to detect non-compliance through those avenues.
That's sampling, is it?
Correct, yes. So there's targets and there's profiling. Also, we do business engagements. That's around educating those that are importing to ensure that they are correctly classifying the goods and obviously paying those duties attached to those goods.
So there'd be hidden costs. Is the government, I don't know who to ask this question of, perhaps the Minister, perhaps Mr. Outram, is the government aware of the hidden costs to Australian manufacturers and retailers who must add GST to their goods, whereas imports bypassing customs do not?
Probably a matter of policy, I suggest, and maybe a different department would be best placed to answer that.
Look, I'll say we are aware in the general sense of the matters you raise, but I'd need to take on notice the quantum of that amount.
So it depends on the size of the problem, I understand that. So is it possible to consider another solution, being tax reform, another way of levying the tax?
Those options are always available to be considered by policymakers.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.